Imagine for a second that you just bought this high-end, absolute marvel of a sports car. I mean, you've got a machine explicitly engineered for endurance racing.
Oh, yeah, something built to run at top speeds for hours, taking tight corners, really pushing the limits of physics.
Exactly. But instead of taking it to the track, you bring it home and you just park it in your suburban garage. And maybe like once a day, you back it out to the end of your driveway.
Right, you let the engine idle for maybe 5 minutes and then pull it right back in.
Yeah. And then you stand there scratching your head, wondering why the engine starts sputtering or why the battery keeps dying or, why the car alarm is just randomly going off in the middle of the night.
Well, I mean, it's a guaranteed mechanical breakdown. You've essentially enforced stagnation on a machine built for motion. That engine is literally being starved of the very purpose it was designed to fulfill.
And that tension, that fundamental mismatch between what a biological machine is built to do and what is actually allowed to do, that is at the core of what we are exploring today. Welcome to this deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one. It's such a massive topic.
It really is. And whether you currently share your home with a Labrador Retriever, or maybe you're considering bringing one into your life, or, you are just an insanely curious learner who loves understanding the hidden mechanics of canine health, you are in the perfect place.
Absolutely.
We are pulling from the Labrador Retriever Health Academy today, specifically their incredibly comprehensive research notes on exercise and weight management.
What stands out immediately in their research is how it forces a total paradigm shift. We so often view dog exercise through this very narrow human-centric lens.
Right, assuming a quick lap around the neighborhood just checks the box.
Yeah, exactly.
So the mission today is to move completely past that generic bumper sticker advice of just walk your dog. We're going to uncover the specific, scientifically backed playbook for keeping a Labrador mentally and physically optimized, because this isn't just a generic family pet.
No, not at all.
Okay, let's unpack this. A Labrador Retriever is a highly specialized, unique athletic machine.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you really have to look at their baseline to understand their biology. I mean, why do labs have such incredibly high exercise needs in the first place?
Yeah, where does that come from?
It all goes back to their heritage. These dogs were selectively bred to be working retrievers.
And when we talk about a working breed, we aren't talking about like a light 9-to-5 desk job.
Oh, definitely not.
We are talking about jumping into freezing cold water, swimming against strong currents to retrieve downed game, and covering just massive amounts of rugged, uneven ground for hours alongside hunters.
Generations upon generations of intentional, selective breeding prioritize the dogs with the deepest lungs, the thickest, strongest legs, and the most relentless internal drive.
They just had to keep moving until a specific job was finished.
Exactly. That intense drive to work and problem solve is baked into their cellular makeup. It didn't just magically evaporate because society changed over the last century.
They definitely didn't get the memo that they've been mostly retired to the role of family pets. It makes me think of this as the unemployed workaholic syndrome.
Oh, I like that. Unemployed workaholic.
Right. It's like taking a retired Olympic decathlete, dropping them right into a cozy suburban living room, canceling their gym membership, and handing them a television remote. I mean, are we basically fighting against their very DNA when we expect them to just chill on the couch all day?
We are absolutely fighting thousands of years of genetics. Acknowledging that biological mismatch is the crucial first step for anyone living with this breed.
It's a huge shift in perspective.
It is. Exercise isn't a bonus for a Labrador, it isn't a luxury, and it isn't a hobby. It is a fundamental biological requirement for their baseline well-being. When you take them out to move, you aren't just tiring out their muscles.
You are fulfilling a deep genetic imperative. The fascinating part is that because they were bred to work alongside humans to solve complex problems, like tracking the scent of a bird that went down in heavy, confusing brush, their brains are constantly running at high speeds.
Which introduces a whole new layer of complexity to their care. Physical exhaustion alone is simply not enough to satisfy them.
So if you only focus on running the body,
You are leaving the mind completely untouched, which means half the machine is still running hot.
I call this the two-front war. It's the battle against physical fatigue versus mental fatigue. There is a massive, incredibly crucial difference between a dog that is physically tired and a dog that is mentally satisfied.
A tired body paired with a bored mind is a highly volatile combination. Because if a lab comes back from a long run physically exhausted but mentally understimulated, they don't just curl up and go to sleep.
No, they get restless.
Right. And a restless, highly intelligent animal with a strong working drive will simply invent its own job to do.
Spoiler alert for anyone listening. A Labrador's idea of a fun, inventive job usually involves uh, remodeling your drywall with their teeth.
Yeah, or deciding to completely deconstruct the cushions on your living room sofa to see what's inside.
Oh man, the horror stories you hear.
Destructive behavior is almost always just misplaced problem solving. To prevent that, you have to actively deploy mental enrichment tactics.
Like what does the source recommend there?
Things like using complex puzzle feeders that make them work to extract their meals, or playing scent-based games where they have to use their nose to find hidden objects around the house,
Right.
or even running highly structured training sessions to learn new cues.
There's a huge emphasis in the research on rotating those activities too. Like, you can't just buy one plastic puzzle toy, fill it with kibble every day, and call it a day.
No, the smart Labrador brain is going to figure out the trip within a week, and then it's not a puzzle anymore. It's just a minor inconvenience between them and their snack.
So you have to constantly introduce new environments and new games so they don't get bored.
Yeah. Novelty is the absolute key for mental enrichment. If you take your dog on the exact same walking route through the neighborhood every single morning, they have already mapped the scents.
Right, they know the terrain by heart.
Yeah, it becomes mindless physical repetition. Forcing their brain to process new environmental data by changing the route or the game is what actually drains that mental energy.
Wait, hold on. When people think retrievers, the obvious activity everyone jumps to is a game of fetch.
Sure, of course.
But honestly, when I watch dogs playing fetch at the local park, they look totally zoned out. They're just sprinting back and forth like a pendulum. The owner throws a ball, the dog chases it, drops it, and barks until it's thrown again.
Yeah, it can get pretty mindless.
So that doesn't seem like it's challenging their brain at all. How does plain old fetch provide genuine mental enrichment?
You're touching on a really common misconception. Unstructured, chaotic fetch really is just physical output. To upgrade that experience, you have to introduce what's called structured fetch.
Structured fetch. Okay.
Yeah, you take the innate act of retrieving and fuse it with basic obedience and training cues.
So you're essentially putting rules and boundaries around the game.
Exactly. You have the dog sit and stay by your side, you throw the ball, but here's the catch. They are not allowed to break their stay and chase that ball until you specifically give the release command.
Oh, wow.
Once you do, they retrieve it, bring it back, sit politely in front of you, and drop it directly into your hand.
I love that, because now they aren't just acting on raw, frantic instinct. They are being forced to exercise intense impulse control. You can almost see them vibrating with the desire to run, but their brain is actively overriding their body.
Right, forcing their muscles to hold still while they wait for your cue. It's a beautiful synchronization. You are tapping into their specific breed, heritage, retrieving an object, but demanding they work in partnership with you to solve the puzzle of getting permission to chase it.
It engages their mind and their body simultaneously.
Which perfectly replicates that ancestral working relationship they were bred for.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. While mental enrichment, like structured fetch or scent games, is universally safe and beneficial across a dog's entire life, the physical side of this equation changes drastically depending on the dog's age.
Oh, absolutely.
Figuring out how much running, jumping, or sustained activity is actually healthy is a constantly moving target.
The life cycle of Labrador exercise requires you to continually adapt your strategy. The physical rules of engagement must shift from puppyhood to adulthood and again into the senior years. If you miss those shifts, you risk permanent physical damage.
I was looking at the timeline for their physical development, and the 18-month mark really caught me off guard.
It surprises a lot of people.
When we talk about Labrador puppies, their growth plates and bones are actively developing for up to a year and a half. I think people look at a 9-month-old lab, they see a dog that already weighs 60 pounds and looks basically like an adult, and they assume it's fully ready to go run a marathon with them.
What's fascinating here is the underlying biology of how those joints mature. A growth plate is an area of soft, highly vulnerable cartilage located at the ends of the long bones in a puppy's legs.
And it stays soft for that long.
Yeah. As the dog matures over months and months, that cartilage slowly calcifies and hardens into solid bone. But until that complex process is completely finished, those areas are extremely fragile.
So taking a 6-month-old Labrador on a 5-mile run on concrete is basically the biological equivalent of putting a human toddler on a high-speed treadmill. The physical skeletal structure simply cannot handle the repetitive, pounding impact.
Exactly. That repetitive impact can literally crush or misalign those developing growth plates, leading to severe, lifelong orthopedic issues like dysplasia.
Wow.
That is why trainers and veterinarians use the strict guideline of keeping structured exercise brief and gentle during the growth phase. The focus for puppies must be on short, controlled bursts, free play on soft surfaces like grass, and short walks. You have to aggressively avoid long jogs or excessive jumping until they are fully structurally sound.
Okay, so they finally hit that 18-month mark.
Mhm.
The growth plates close, the bones harden. I assume this is when the training wheels finally come off, and you can treat them like the endurance athletes they are.
This is exactly when you enter the adult phase, where they truly thrive on substantial, sustained daily activity. Their bodies are finally ready for brisk walks, longer jogging sessions, intense games of structured fetch, and, of course, swimming.
Swimming is such a huge part of the Labrador identity. They literally have webbed toes and dense, water-resistant coats designed specifically for the water.
Biologically, swimming is the perfect exercise for them. It provides incredibly intense cardiovascular and muscular exertion, but the buoyancy of the water makes it entirely low impact.
So it's safe for the joints.
Right. It offers fantastic joint protection while still burning off that massive reserve of energy.
There's a really important warning to heed, though. We assume every lab will just dive into a lake like a natural-born otter, but not all labs automatically love the water.
That's a very common myth.
Yeah, if you toss a hesitant dog off a dock into a pool, assuming instinct will just take over, you can severely traumatize them. It must be introduced gradually, built upon positive association, and always safely supervised.
And as they transition from those highly active adult years into their senior phase, that joint protection becomes paramount all over again. The exercise routine has to shift back to lower impact, shorter duration activities to protect aging cartilage.
But you can't just stop exercising a senior dog. Right?
No, absolutely not. Movement remains vital for maintaining their joint mobility, keeping their cognitive health sharp, and keeping their weight down.
So you spend 18 months carefully protecting these joints, and then years building up their physical resilience. But then you take them outside on a hot July afternoon, and suddenly the joints aren't the problem at all. You're fighting a completely different biological enemy, the environment.
The environment is a constant, unpredictable variable.
Those daily hazards can undo a lifetime of careful management in a single hour.
General safety protocols are non-negotiable. You need warm-ups before intense activity. You should never exercise them right after a large meal due to the risk of life-threatening stomach bloat. You must provide constant water breaks, and you have to be hyper-aware of surface conditions.
Like hot pavement. People often forget that a dog's paw pads, while tough, can literally burn and blister on dark asphalt in the summer sun in a matter of minutes.
It happens so fast.
But the biggest hidden hazard, especially for this specific breed, is the heat itself.
Labradors are highly prone to overheating, and the reason why is stitched directly into their biology. We talked about their heritage swimming in freezing Atlantic waters. To survive that, they develop dense double coats.
Right.
The undercoat traps heat, and the outer coat repels water. It is an incredible evolutionary insulating layer.
But when it's 85 degrees and humid outside, that amazing insulating layer turns into a wearable sauna. And dogs don't sweat through their skin like we do to cool down.
They rely almost entirely on panting to exchange hot internal air for cooler outside air. When the air outside is thick and hot, that cooling mechanism totally fails.
So what do you do?
Owners have to aggressively adjust their exercise routines during warm weather. You shift to early mornings or late evenings when the sun is down. You ensure constant access to shade. And you must be vigilant in recognizing the biological signs of overexertion.
You really have to watch for excessive panting that simply won't settle down even after they stop moving, or a noticeably slowing pace, refusing to move forward, or a dog that actively seeks out shade mid-activity and refuses to leave it.
If your dog is struggling, the rule is to stop immediately. Finishing your planned loop around the park is never worth risking a deadly heat stroke.
Beyond the environment, there's another massive hazard that is entirely human-created. It's the weekend warrior trap.
Oh, this one is so common.
This is the dog that gets minimal sedentary activity Monday through Friday, maybe a quick walk around the block, but then on Saturday morning, the owner takes them on a grueling 3-hour hike in the woods.
And this pattern causes severe strain and massive injury spikes.
I have to admit, I do the weekend warrior routine myself. I sit at a computer desk Monday through Friday, and then I play a highly intense game of pickup basketball on Saturday mornings. My knees might ache on Sunday, but I survive. Why is this start and stop schedule considered catastrophic for a dog?
Well, it's terrible for humans too, But for a dog, it comes down to the sudden, shocking load placed on completely unprepared connective tissues. Consistency is the absolute foundation of physical health. When a dog exercises moderately and consistently every single day, their muscles, tendons, and ligaments gradually build endurance and tensile strength. They adapt to the load.
So they build a physical baseline of fitness.
Exactly. But if they sit dormant on the couch for 5 days, those tissues aren't primed for explosive, sustained output. The ligaments remain cold and less pliable.
That makes sense.
When you suddenly spike their activity levels on a Saturday, chasing a frisbee for an hour, those unprepared, unconditioned ligaments are pushed past their breaking point. That is exactly how you get a torn ACL or a severe muscle strain. A steady daily routine safely builds that tensile strength. Sudden spikes invite catastrophic injury.
And if an injury does occur, knowing when to put the leash away and see a vet is critical. You're looking for persistent lameness, obvious pain when moving, noticeable changes in their mobility, or a sudden intolerance to an exercise routine they used to handle with ease. Those are not things you try to diagnose at home.
No, those symptoms require immediate professional veterinary evaluation.
So we've established that a safe, consistent exercise routine protects their developing joints, prevents boredom-induced destruction, and keeps them out of the emergency clinic. But all of this serves another massive, overarching purpose.
Weight management.
Exercise is the primary weapon against the Labrador's most notorious genetic enemy, the scale.
The intersection of exercise, food motivation, and weight management is arguably the defining daily battle for most lab owners.
Labs have a heavily documented genetic predisposition toward weight gain. And honestly, they have a legendary level of food motivation.
Legendary is the right word.
A Labrador will look you dead in the eye, having just eaten a massive bowl of kibble, and use all their acting skills to convince you they haven't eaten a single morsel in a month.
Because of that intense genetic tendency to gain and retain fat, the biological math has to be strictly enforced by the owner. Active calories burned must match caloric intake. It is an unforgiving equation.
An overfed and underexercised dog isn't just going to get a little visibly chubby, right?
No, they will gradually pack on excess weight that exponentially increases the stress on the very joints we just spent the whole episode talking about protecting.
There's a very practical way to monitor this at home from the Academy's notes called checking their body condition. You shouldn't just rely on the number you see on the scale at the vet's office. You need to look at the dog's physical shape.
Yes, the rib test.
The rule of thumb is the rib test. You should be able to run your hands along their sides and physically feel their ribs without having to press hard through a heavy layer of padding.
Right.
And when you look down at the dog from above, you should see a visible, distinct waistline tucked in behind their rib cage, before their hips.
That physical rib test is a crucial at-home metric. It keeps you grounded in the physical reality of your dog's condition, rather than just guessing based on how they look sitting down.
I know a lot of owners use organizational tools to keep track of this, like the Vital Pet app, which is mentioned in the source. It allows you to log their weight over time, track their daily activity, and manage vet visits.
It's a great companion tool to keep the data organized, though obviously never a replacement for your actual vet.
Right. So what does this all mean? Let's say an owner does the rib test today, looks down from above, and realizes, uh-oh, the waist is gone, I can't feel the ribs, and my labs has gotten too padded. The instinct would be to just instantly double the dog's daily exercise tomorrow to burn the fat off.
This raises an important question, and it ties perfectly back to our weekend warrior warning. You should absolutely never do that.
Because of the joints.
Exactly. Sudden, drastic increases in exercise for an overweight dog are incredibly dangerous. You are forcing weakened, unconditioned joints to suddenly carry a significantly heavier load at a higher intensity.
You're basically asking for a ligament to snap.
Weight loss must be a highly balanced, gradual equation. You start by adjusting the input portion control and making a very slight, safe increase in appropriate, low-impact exercise like swimming or walking. And most importantly, you do it under veterinary guidance to ensure the plan matches the dog's specific age, health status, and current baseline of fitness.
It's all deeply connected. You can't change one variable without affecting the rest of the biological system.
It is a complex machine that requires precise daily calibration.
So let's synthesize this journey we've been on. To keep a Labrador Retriever thriving, you have to truly respect their working retriever heritage.
You really do.
You have to balance the two-front war of mental and physical fatigue, keeping their brains engaged with structured tasks so they don't remodel your house. You have to respect the 18-month growth plate rule, protecting that soft cartilage early on.
Crucial for puppies.
You have to avoid the weekend warrior trap by maintaining daily, moderate consistency to build ligament strength. And you have to regularly perform that physical rib test to fight back against their powerful genetic predisposition for weight gain. Keeping this breed healthy isn't an accident. It requires intentional, educated effort every single day.
It absolutely does. And looking at all this biology, the history, and the profound daily needs of this breed, it leaves me with a lingering thought to ponder.
What's that?
If we spend centuries selectively breeding these dogs to possess such specific, intense, and relentless working drives to survive harsh environments, are we inadvertently fighting thousands of years of evolution in our own living rooms? We've taken a biological machine built for wilderness survival and placed it into a world of couch cushions and climate control.
Wow, that is a heavy, incredible biological paradox to think about. If you buy the endurance race car, you owe it to the machine to let it run. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Labrador health. We hope you walk away with a totally new perspective on the incredible athlete sleeping on your rug. Until next time.